verdict handed down in Missouri court Tuesday, way back in November. Said two brokerage firms, Home Services of America and Keller Williams, were liable for 1.8 billion in damages for artificially high commissions. And Taylor, my first question for you, sir, is the 6% commission gonna stay around? Are we gonna see a 6% total commission still?
Um, so here's my thoughts. First off, I think the article has a lot of good points. Nothing in the immediate future is going to change at all. The reason why is it's going to be in arbitration for who knows how many years. It could be 5 or more. It's going to be dragged out. I do believe, and I have thought this for a long time since I got into real estate like 6 years ago. I always knew eventually what's going to happen is we're going to move into lower commissions because with the nature of innovation in the industry, competition, technology firms stepping in, I think it's just a natural solution. I do believe that commissions are going to go down. However, in the immediate future, nothing is going to change. So that's kind of how I see it. I think right now everything is going to keep going as normal, but long term there will be disruptions in the industry. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. The technology piece, I think it's gonna look a lot like really creative financing or really creative, I, I guess, buyer side services instead of the commission, because it's the a sales commission is supposed to motivate an employee to get the best they can out of the product, find the best clients, and so if you take away the percentage commission on it, I'm just gonna list it. I'm just gonna take the easiest deal, the smoothest paperwork, because it's smoother, and that's gonna be a smoother deal for the end owner too. So let's just do that. I'm not gonna go through the crazy 60K over if it's risky, unless I'm getting a piece of that pie and it's actually worth my extra time to do it. But I think 6% is a little high the way real estate's going, especially in the US. We're the only real estate market like us, right? Everywhere else is drastically different. You can go find a cheap house anywhere else for the most part, outside of like Toronto, Canada. Um, and I don't see it changing for a while, but it's going to change. I was going to ask you too, when was the last time you just saw in general a 6% commission? 3-3 or 4-2? When was the last time you saw that?
Um, like when was the last time I personally have listed a property at 6%, or just heard of other people doing it?
Both.
Well, I have done it recently, and I also, believe it or not, have heard of people doing 7%, which is wild. And that kind of brings me into my next point. I want to ask you: do you think that the article and just the lawsuit in general has merit in the sense of um, real estate agents abusing and manipulating sellers to get a higher commission? Do you think that there's validity there, and do you think that they have abused people?
So I'm with you as it relates to the open free market side of things. So on the brokerage side, I think there's nothing wrong with what they did. They're just competing in a free market, and people know what their service is. People know what their brand is. Keller Williams down to the specific agent, they made that choice, and obviously they weren't suing that person. This was a high level suit in general. Now, I think NAR is definitely in the wrong, and they are the entity price fixing. They're trying to make the agents make as much as they can so that then they can charge as much as they want for them to keep their license, keep their realtor status. And that's the game I don't like. I think the National Association of Realtors, if anything, out of this whole ruling and arbitration that we're going to see, they're the first to go compared to
Um,
a traditional brokerage or a buyer's agent. I think the Realtor Association is more on the fence than the buyer agent dying, for instance.
I mean, that's interesting. I don't know necessarily if they would disappear. I think that it's really annoying to pay the dues that we have to pay because I don't really know how much value they really bring to the table at the end of the day, other than
Yeah,
just
what's the
having.
MLS worth now?
Um, right. So that's really annoying. I don't know if them going away is going to change anything or if that's the answer. I really believe that at the end of the day, we talked about this a lot. Nobody has an obligation, first off, to use a realtor at all.
Never
You can
did.
do a for sale by owner, and you can do it perfectly fine if you are willing to put in the research and the work to do the right paperwork. You can do it for sale by owner, and guess what? It's a free market. You can negotiate absolutely whatever you want. Like, sure, if I'm listing a house and I'm offering the buyer 1%, agents are going to be livid. They're not going to want to show your house. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. Nobody said you
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, there's
Um,
listing brokerages
right.
all over the place right now that are super cheap, do a horrible job listing it every time, but it's super cheap.
So here's my thing. I think long term commissions are going to come down. Uh, at the end of the day, everything is up for negotiation. No one is screwing anybody over. I don't believe realtors are going out there and abusing sellers, and they have them in a chokehold, and they just have been milking them for years because um, the sellers, they can list whatever they want. They don't have to agree to that. And at the end of the day, realtors that are offering 6% and they're able to hold their value and convince a seller to list at that price, they're probably going to get you your money's worth. They're probably going to negotiate really well. They're going to save you a lot of money in repairs versus someone who doesn't know what they're doing, understandably so, because they don't do this for a living. If you try to list for sale by owner, you probably aren't going to see that return because you might not know how to properly navigate an inspection report, and you might not know what to ask or what not to ask, and you might cost yourself a lot of money. So
Yeah.
there's value in realtors. I think people think it's very black and white what realtors do. The negotiation, for me, that's what sets people apart, and that's where you can save astronomical amounts of money. So I don't think anybody's been abused. I don't quite understand why um, this lawsuit is really happening in the first place. But I do agree, and I do believe that the commissions will come down, and I'm perfectly fine with that because at the end of the day, I can make decent money even if it's 1%. Guess what? 1% of 500,000 is $5,000.
Yeah.
Not
And
bad.
I guess that I have two questions from that, or a statement and a question. The statement being the NAR, they will reject some transaction sales off purchase agreements if there's no commission. And even a penny they don't consider it fair. So they have like this unwritten rule that they're making these minimums on their side to even allow them to use the paperwork, like the purchase agreement. And that's where it's shady and it's self-interested of them. They make it seem less self-interested. They're like, "No, realtors need to make money." But they're so hyper focused on it being in the commission route that they're kind of ruining it for the realtors that want to just go, hey, I just want to charge 1,000 a month to be their agent, to be on retainer,
Trainer.
you know. And they're saying no, you can't do that through our paperwork, through our association, and that's where it comes in. Is like, yeah, I see it, but on the brokerage side, on the market side, for all the buyers and sellers and agents, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. No, not many are that mad. At the end of the day, unless there was a really bad experience or a bad agent. But that happens. There's bad doctors still. They do
That's my
horrible
point.
things.
That's my point. There's bad lawyers, there's bad dentists, there's bad auto mechanics. That's the world we live in. So, and to your point with the forms, one thing that's really interesting is I definitely agree. They try to have their hand in every pot so that they can control every aspect of it. A form that I actually have started using that I like way better than the realtor forms is they came out with it last year. It's called the Oregon Real Estate Forms. They're free. Anyone can
REF,
download them.
baby.
They're free and they're awesome. And the verbiage on the forms, it's so simple. It's really easy to understand and it makes sense. And I love using the forms. Um, So I think that's cool that there are stuff coming out like that that's kind of they're losing leverage. So I think you're right. Like NAR just disappearing. I mean, there's a few different uh, with them getting sued, with other people creating forums, with them losing control, with them making less money for commissions. Yeah, I think they could go away, and real estate's going to slowly start to shift, like it always does. But I think the core of real estate will remain largely the same for many years.
I agree. My last note on that subject is, it in every other like discipline of industry, like even property management or vacation rental management, which I'm in, the the other outside groups like the associations, the membership groups are really networking groups. And that's what the Realtors Association should be. It should be, hey, we share resources, we have events, we do realtor hookups, we do realtor education. Maybe you save money on your classes if you're a realtor. That's what it should be. It shouldn't be a part of doing the business. Like you shouldn't have to be a part of this club, right? To be a sole proprietor. And you don't have to be. You don't have to be a realtor to be a real estate agent, but back in the day, you almost did. It's going away slowly, and I think this might have been like the catalyst for them going bye bye or being completely different. At
Right.
the end of the day. But I'm going to ask you this question: do you think agent commissions will go down first, or home prices will go up first?
I think that's like comparing oranges to apples. How's that
It
even
is. It
related?
is.
Housing prices go up or commissions go down? What do you
Maybe
mean?
you just.
What do you mean? What are
How,
you trying to ask?
yeah. How about this? When commissions go down, or if they go down in percentage, do you think the home prices will go up drastically, or will be like anticipating that right at that moment, or will it be a kind of a delayed reaction?
No, I don't think. I think the correlation between commissions and prices will have very little relation at all. I don't think it's going to be like, oh look, you instead of paying realtors 20,000, now you're only paying them 10,000 total. So prices are going to skyrocket. I don't think that'll have much of any. Maybe there's a small percentage. I think what more so is going to change prices is simply interest rates. If rates are being held at 7 to 8%, prices aren't really going to go much higher. Um, if this is our new normal, that's I mean it's so expensive. Prices are not going to raise that much, even if realtor commissions are out of the equation, because it's still really expensive. If interest rates go to 4%, 5%, prices are gonna raise. So I think the answer to that is at the end of the day, the biggest piece that is going to affect prices is it's always going to be interest rates, because even if a listing is being listed at 2% total, that's not really going to move the price. It's no one really cares. Like the seller's just going to pocket some more money.
No, totally. And there's always a cash buyer. There's that. There's always people that don't rely on that market. And then on the other side too, maybe you're saving 10,000 and it's so marginal it's not going to make many people make a switch, but there's definitely a bucket that it now activates them to make that move faster because they're like, "Hey, I just need to make cut even and I want to move into this new house. I don't really care. I just don't want to lose money on it." And
Right.
now I
So
can. So it's a
marginally,
volume play that will make the housing price more stable too. I think it's going
marginally.
to be harder to go down once commissions go down. I think the real estate market will get less volatile. I don't think it'll spike immediately. I think it'll go right here, but I think the floor will be really secure once commissions get a little bit lower. And maybe a better question was, do you think interest rates will go down or commissions will go down first?
uh, well, it's kind of like commissions going down. Um, what I'm trying to say is interest rates going down. That's a much more measurable thing
Oh yeah,
than
that'll be
commissions
an
going
instant.
down. That's a much more black and white thing. Like if Powell is like, okay, it's June 1st, we are lowering interest rates. Okay, there you go. Interest rates are lowered in June. Commissions, there's no black and white features that are going to snap their fingers and okay, now the commissions are down. It's going to be a long, slow process of, like we've already talked about, innovation. Maybe this lawsuit gets finished in 5 years and XYZ comes about it. But I think definitely interest rates are going to come down first because it's not that simple for commissions to come down because right now there's nothing interfering with free market negotiation. If someone were to um, step in the middle and be like, agents are no longer allowed to negotiate and get whatever commissions they want. If something were to regulate that, then yeah, the commissions would come down first. But there's no regulation of any kind. Like I could list a house for 10% if I wanted. If someone says yes,
Try 20.
that's all it is. I could list for 100%. There's no laws. That's my point. Is there's no laws. And I do. You don't believe me? I listed for 100% last week. You want to know what my commission was?
What?
$500,000. They didn't want a penny because I brought the value to the table. I'll do it again.
No, see, I agree with you 100%. I think you're right, unless someone makes a business that goes against that grain. If someone can make a 3% model and with their tech and their talent and their team, they can just outlist the six percenters,
And the
that's
value
what
has
changes
to
it. That's what
right.
changes it.
The value has to exceed what a realtor can bring to the table. If you can objectively be like, yeah, I'm charging you 3% total, and
I'm gonna give you
we
more
are
than what a six
objectively
percent
bringing
broker
you,
will.
yeah, like we can bring you more value to the table than any broker. When that happens, I mean that's with any that's free market capitalism 101. When more value exceeds the market, the price is going to come down because you have to match that value and that price. It's just very basic supply and demand, very basic math. So that's how I see it happening, but we're just not there yet, and I don't know when we will be. Um, so
Yeah,
rates are going to come down first.
it's interesting. Well, I guess how do you want to play the game? How do you think about playing the game for your business? Do you think you want to stay strong on the 6% until you see someone else with a value prop that looks interesting to model, or do you think you might think about lower options or creative options to give buyers or sellers? Like, hey, I'll do a 3% and this is a creative package I put together that I think is close to maybe a 5% value. I have a 6% too, but this is like an option. Is that something that you're thinking about?
At the end of the day, if you're doing like 3%, like you always need to remember the way that the business works is the seller pays both commissions, the buyer and the listing agent. So if 3%, that means you're getting 1.5%, and the buyer's agent is getting 1.5%. Which, like I said, um, you can make decent money on a 1.5% commission. Like it's still good money. So if you're buying with them as well, like for example, a package could be if you're going to buy with me, and Zillow already or Redfin already does this. They do the 1% listing fee. Um, because you're buying with them. So in that case, yeah, I could do a 3% commission if they're going to buy, and then I can collect 2.5% on the other side. But if I can't collect 2.5% on the other side because everyone is lowering commissions, then uh, probably not. But how I guess to answer that, how I see this immediately affecting my business, like I said, nothing is really changing until those bigger players come into play and force a change. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, bring value to the table, um, and wherever the chips fall, that's fine. So nothing is really affecting my business in this moment.
Yeah, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Take your
Yeah.
time. If something innovates, you'll see it and you'll just adapt to it as it
Mm-hmm.
comes. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, for me it's a little different not being buy sell oriented but relying on how that market moves affects my business at the end of the day, and how I can acquire, how fast I can acquire properties. So the lower commission at a high level seems nice, but at the same time, if realtors now are thinking in the framework of, man, how can I get this 6% value into 4% and make it work? Like, what software tools are out there? How can I leverage my time to actually make this 4% thing work? That's it's going to hurt, I think, the off market deals. It's going to make it a little more hard. I think if they're getting close to a 0% commission, now the for sale by owner is getting like less value. It's even more risky to do FISBO now. Now you're not getting that
Also,
6%. You're not getting that 6% savings guarantee or 5 to 6% savings guarantee. And other realtors are figuring out how to get that value at 4%. Now you're competing with those guys for just a slight difference, and it makes it harder.
so you're saying you should just, for sale by owner, should just pay a realtor a lower fee rather
Yeah,
than try
once it's
to
at
compete
like two to
against
three
them.
percent, you should just pay the lower fee at that point. It's so marginal, and it takes away all your time. And if you're not an industry expert, no brainer. But at
Hmm.
6%, there's enough. In a 500K home, there's enough dollars to go. Fuck, I do need to sell this personally. I need
Yeah,
to do some research,
yeah,
find a listing broker. But at 3%, 2%, ah, not really.
I
A lot
agree.
less.
I agree, and I'm okay if one day, um, this is a topic for another day, but as a self-employed person, I'm pretty. I know you are too. We're pretty passionate about multiple streams of income, and I think in the future, realtors um, should be looking to get creative in how they're bringing in money, so that they can afford to continue to do this business, being able to survive and thrive off of 1 and 2% commissions. Because, like I said, 1% of 500,000 is $5,000. Um, that's not bad money, but I think you should look to make money in other ways as well, so that you can stay in the game and uh, not see so much turnover when it gets slow. And if you can leverage a business, if you can have volume of any kind, there's a lot of room there for success. There's a lot of ways to leverage listings. You can have 5 listings, and guess what? 5 times 5 is 25. So there's still ways to make it work, regardless of a small commission. That's what I think.
Yeah, no,
What do you
I'll
think?
I'll end it on this thought of, I think in general, not even real estate related, more people and a lot of people are just going to start businesses. It's getting easier and easier to start a business. The information about how much more beneficial it is to a job is getting more available. And as it progresses, and as someone with no skill set can just make a business and have other people do all the work, and they do like one tiny little function, there's going to be a lot of micro businesses out there. And I see
Right.
a world of realtors with that one business is real estate, and then they're also a chauffeur, and then they're also a contractor and something else. Maybe they have 2 or 3 businesses that are all serving each other and really close because it helps each other. But yeah, I don't think you can rely on the one buy sale anymore. That's a function of being an agent, an important one where you make the most money, and to your point, the negotiation is where you make it all, and that's on the buy sale. But that's just one part, and the property still needs to get taken care of after it, right? And there's a lot of work to be done. You can have a home cleaning business and be a realtor.
Right.
But
Diversification, that's the future. So, yeah,
yeah,
to sum up, I think there is validity to this ruling. I think there are some great points. I think not much of anything is going to happen in the meantime. You see people all over the internet like, give up your real estate license, it's over. It's not. Nothing's
no,
really happening. Nothing will happen for a while. But just understand, prepare, get ready for things to evolve and change like they always do. They always have, and they always will. So to me, it's really nothing new. I think it's going to evolve. I think commissions will get lower. I think you should stay the course for now, and just continue to educate yourself. Think about different ways to bring in income, and you'll be just fine. So,
Yeah. And on that note, thanks for watching, and come watch us next week.
yeah.
That's it.